downtown Phoenix, home of Chase Field and the Arizona Diamondbacks, where the D-backs are hosting Martin Prado's former team. It's the Atlanta Braves. D-back Nation filing into the ballpark to get tonight's Martin Prado bobblehead, a big giveaway item on the D-backs calendar. Leading up to the main event, it's Irvin Santana and Wade Miley, the D-backs and the Braves, right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. This is the D-backs and the Braves, the second of a three-game series here over the weekend. And as the D-backs learned last night, trouble in the Atlanta order starts right at the top, Bob, with their hottest hitter, Jason Heyward.
You know, when Jason Heyward was drafted and signed by the Braves, I don't think he or the Braves envisioned him hitting at the top of the order, but he's done a real nice job as the leadoff hitter. Sprays the ball all over the ballpark, as he proved in the game last night. Brandon McCarthy with a fastball up and out over the plate, trying to set up a pitch later in that at bat, and Heyward did not allow him to do it. Hit that two-run homer to left. Later in the ballgame against Trevor Cahill, another base hit to the opposite field. That's what you look for in a leadoff hitter. Find a way to get on base, and certainly he's got enough power to hit it out to any part of the ballpark. He
has been their most consistent bat as of late, a 10-game hitting streak. For the D-backs tonight, an interesting new look to the lineup. We'll see the Gregorius-Owings middle infield combination.
A combination you might see quite a bit of moving forward with the Diamondbacks organization. Chris Owings has really come into his own, not only as a hitter, but as a power hitter over his last 17 games. 10 extra base hits over that stretch, and Didi Gregorius doing a nice job in that leadoff spot. 4 games this season. It's granted a very, very small sample size, but he's doing a nice job of getting on base, hitting those leadoff home runs. We love those.
Should be fun here at Chase Field. The Braves and the D-backs. It's Santana and Miley, and the key for Wade against these Atlanta sluggers: take the mound and keep it in the yard. Cindy Brunson has more on that. We're set for first pitch from Chase Field when we come back. Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next, and by Jack in the Box. If the D-backs hit a home run today, Score a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow with the purchase of a large drink.
Welcome back to Chase Field. Cindy Brunson with you. Martin Prado signing some of his bobbleheads today. The free gift for 20,000 lucky fans here in downtown Phoenix. Of course, these fans would also like to see the 10th home win of the season here at Chase. And for that to happen, Wade Miley has got to have some success. Facing the Braves is special for Miley because he made his major league debut against the Braves in August of 2011. I asked him what's been going wrong of late and what has to go right today.
I feel like I've been throwing the ball well. It's just a couple pitches here and there, and I've been having to pay for it, and it's costing me more runs than we can afford at the time. So just got to make better pitches in big situations. We've been swinging the bats well, and we've been pitching well enough to keep us in games to give us those opportunities, and it's been fun to watch. It's always fun to watch your offense just go around in circles like a merry-go-round. So hopefully we can continue that for a while and see what happens.
D-backs Nation hoping that Wade Miley can nail down that so far elusive 4th win of the season, and he's got the defense behind him to get it done. Can't say enough good things about Peralta, Inciarte, and Parra. Tremendous D along the way. All of that and so much more as we count down to first pitch. Bob Brindley, Steve Berthiaume have it for you. Enjoy the game.
Prado, 7 years in the big leagues with the Atlanta Braves, at .295 during his time in Atlanta, and now hosting the Braves in his new home park, Chase Field, and doing his pregame ritual once he takes the field to begin infield at the top of the game. Martin Prado, as he often does, goes through a routine, and this is the Prado infield routine before every game.
Oh, boy. Whatever it takes, Martin. Whatever you have to do to get ready to go out there and help your team win.
Well, Wade Miley is facing a tough Atlanta lineup, 14-13 on the road this year. One of just 5 National League teams, including the D-backs, with a winning record on the road this year. And this is the lineup for Atlanta.
Hayward in right field, B.J. Upton in center, Freddie Freeman at first base, Justin Upton in left field. There seems like there ought to be an Upton every other hitter in the Braves lineup. Evan Gaddis catching tonight, Chris Johnson at third base, Dan Uggla a rare start at second base, Andrelton Simmons at shortstop, and right-hander Irvin Santana on the mound for the Braves.
Your Arizona fourth starting pitcher, 27-year-old left-hander Wade Miley. He's been around the strike zone a lot lately. 20 strikeouts in his last 2 starts. Jason Hayward, Didi Gregorius, 1 pitch, 1 out, good start. Well, they figured out a way to get Hayward out.
Big smile from Didi, ranging far to his right up the middle of the field. We know he's got plenty of arm once he gets to the ball. Throws across his body over to Goldie, and plenty of time to get Hayward. Nice start.
It's going to be an interesting evening watching Didi Gregorius and Chris Owings up the middle. Here is B.J. Upton. Back in the lineup tonight for Atlanta. 217 on the year and 5 homers. Another very disappointing season offensively. But he has been a little better lately. 1 hop to Gregorius, keeping Didi busy over there. 2 outs on 3 pitches and ground ball outs. A great sign for Miley.
Really good sign for Wade Miley. You mentioned he throws a lot of strikes, and lately a lot of those strikes have been up in the zone where they're very hittable. When he's down, he gets a lot of ground balls. Good sign early here tonight.
Freddie Freeman, 288, 9 home runs, a pair of strikeouts last night. He did manage a 9th inning single against Trevor Cahill. Right to Didi.
Try somebody else.
All smiles, all 3 outs. We are playing ball in downtown Phoenix. Hit a home run in this at bats.
Oh my, what a start.
His first major league start at second base, and sure enough, he makes all 3 outs in the top of the first inning, and he will lead it off in the home half here. He is at the top of the Diamondbacks lineup tonight. Here's a look.
Didi at the top, followed by Gerardo Parra, Paul Goldschmidt in his customary 3-hole. Miguel Montero cleaning up tonight. Martin Prado, it's his bobblehead doll night tonight. Look for big things for Martin. David Peralta on him in the midst of a 5-game hitting streak. Chris Owings loves that home cooking. 348 here at Chase Field this season with 8 extra base hits. He'll be followed by Ender Inciarte and left-hander Wade Miley on the mound for the D-backs.
Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Braves, Irvin Santana, 31-year-old right-hander. Couldn't find an offer out there on the free agent market, considered overpriced and tied to draft pick compensation. But the Braves, hit with a rash of major injuries to their rotation, suddenly ran to Santana in the middle of March. A 1-year deal, and he's done well, 5-2 in his first 10 starts. Freddie Gonzalez happy to have Santana in the rotation after they had to scramble the Jets and find somebody with all those injuries they had in spring training, and so far so good.
Yeah, had a nice month of April. He struggled a little bit over his last 4 starts. Santana has 23 innings pitched total over those 4 starts. He's given up 31 hits and 20 runs.
1-2 on Didi Gregorius, took something off there. Didi, the first D-back ever to hit a leadoff homer in consecutive starts, so he's going for the trifecta in this at bat. Tell you what, he is 4 for 8 since his recall from AAA Reno, and these are the 2 leadoff homers, one at Coors Field and one here last night. Off Santana and into center, and Gregorius is aboard again.
Just a lousy single.
Oh well.
I'll tell you, that approach that he has featured this year is going to serve him well. Even with 2 strikes, he waits, let the ball get deep into the hitting zone, and then puts that good quick swing on it. Completely different looking hitter this year. He had a big loop in his swing last year that opposing pitchers would exploit. That loop is gone now.
He's big and lanky at 6'2", 205, and it's a noticeable difference, that crouch, but it has looked good so far, much more athletic and terrific results. And here is Gerardo Parra. Parra 278, 5 homers. 0 for 3 with a walk last night. That snapped a 6-game hit streak. Shows bunt. Chris Johnson comes in from third. Didi moves up 90 feet, 1 away. Brings up Paul Goldschmidt.
Number 44, Paul Goldschmidt.
Goldie 302, 11 home runs. The batting average hovering right around the 300 mark. We saw it dip just below 300 for 1 game. That was back on the 1st of this month, and that's still the only day all season that Goldie's average did not begin with either a 3 or a 4. Well hit, left field, just Upton tracks it down.
That ball was absolutely crushed. Upton on the dead run to his right, able to get to that one and take away extra bases from Paul Goldschmidt.
It's Miggy time. The Parra bunt, by the way, scored a sacrifice, so sack 5-3 in the Parra AB, moving Gregorius to second. Now 2 outs for Miguel Montero, 276 on the year. You saw the RBI total. He's got 34 RBIs this season. He had 42 all of last year. The production way up. Bobblehead man is on deck doing whatever it is he does. There's a lot to keep track of. A lot of choreography when Martin Prado takes the field.
You need an itinerary to follow him around, either defensively or in that on deck circle, to follow all of his antics.
Probably like that, just going into the kitchen for a glass of water. Santana trying to get comfortable out there. He's been excellent in his career against the D-backs. Very small sample size. 2-0 in 2 starts. A 1.20 ERA. The last time Santana faced the D-backs, June of 2012, when he was with the Angels, he worked a 1-hit shutout in Anaheim. Miggy, the production way up. Talked about the RBIs. Look at the differences. An 85-point increase in slugging from a year ago. A 50-point jump in on-base percentage.
And if we had a stat for quality at bats, he'd be way ahead of last year's pace. This looks much more comfortable up there at the plate. We've talked about it throughout the early going this season. Has eliminated a lot of the unnecessary movement that he had as he was waiting on that pitcher to deliver the ball. Swinging at better pitches, taking those borderline pitches, and all that equates to better offensive numbers.
Boy, Santana so far, Bob, looking awfully fidgety out there and trying to get together with Gaddis now on his side. He's been stepping on and off the rubber, shaking off, circling the mound. Looks really antsy out there.
He's basically a three-pitch guy. He will throw a four-seam fastball, an occasional two-seamer, throws a hard slider and a straight changeup. A lot of secrets out there on the mound. He's usually going to attack hitters. Power pitcher.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's one thing I was never really crazy about. We saw Gaddis go to the mound, talk to Santana, and they decided what pitch they wanted to throw next to Miguel Montero. So when Gaddis went back behind the plate, he didn't even hang a sign. Now, the pitcher and catcher know what's coming, but the middle infielders don't know. The center fielder doesn't know. Might give you an extra half a step if you know what pitch is coming.
Well, it's his first season in the National League, Santana. Always been a pretty hard thrower. The fastball averages 93. The hard slider he throws a lot. Good changeup. And in recent seasons, he has picked up that two-seam sinking fastball to get some more ground ball outs and not be so overly strikeout dependent. But generally a guy who gives up around 1 base hit per inning, sometimes more, sometimes less. He's 3-2 now on Montero. So he started out 0-2 on Miggy. Now it's full with 2 outs. Gregorius at second and Prado on deck. Strikes out Miggy. They strand the leadoff single. We are through 1, no score at Chase Field.
The nose, it just kind of make me, oh my God, that's my nose. It's not good. That's not good. But yeah, I think they put together a lot of details that actually weren't, when I'm playing. So they're almost there. There's a couple things they're just missing, but so far so good.
Back at Chase Field, I asked Martin what they in marketing missed, and he said, well, for one, the elbow pad. Not too bad, guys. Back to you.
I think it's a great-looking bobblehead.
We talked about the absence of pine tar on the right shoulder because Martin taps that bat on his shoulder when he's up at the plate. That would have been a nice touch as well.
That's one of the better-looking ones we've had. Justin Upton leads off the second for the Braves against Wade Miley, who Worked 1, 2, 3 first. All 3 putouts recorded by Didi Gregorius. 2 assists and a putout involved in all 3 plays. So at this, he's on pace to record all 27 outs. That would be like a record or something.
Kind of, yeah. Well, it's his first start at second base at the big league level, but it's not like he's playing out of position. That's, as you said, that's where he played most down in Reno this year. But at the major league level, the ball will find the guy who's playing out of position.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, Didi at AAA Reno when he was down there started 38 games at second base and started less than 20 at shortstop. And so despite the fact that second base is new to him at this level, he's actually played a fair amount of it over the course of this year. Slow roller to short, Chris Owens. Nice backhand scoop by the Gold Glover at first. 4 up, 4 down against Miley.
Well, we saw some miscommunication out there between Santana and his catcher Evan Gattis, so they're over there on the bench talking it over. A little fist bump, some encouragement from his catcher. Hopefully we'll keep it moving from this point forward.
Evan Gattis, the catcher. A 4-pitch first for Miley. It took 5 pitches to retire Justin Upton to open the second, and now he'll deal with El Oso Blanco, the white bear. Gattis became something of a legend when he played winter ball in Venezuela. Became a fan favorite down there, and the fans there nicknamed him El Oso Blanco, which has got to be one of the coolest nicknames ever. He's got an 8-game hitting streak, 4 homers and 9 RBIs during the 8-game streak. Gattis 1 for 5 with a double last night. And this is a guy that just hammers left-hand pitching. Almost 370 versus lefties this year. Left field, Peralta able to cut it off. Gattis will stop at first with a 1-out single.
For a big guy with a lot of pop in his bat, and Gattis does have a lot of pop, second on the team in home runs with his 12. Only Justin Upton has more. He's very quick inside, really quick inside.
You mean with his hands?
Yeah, I mean, he gets the fastballs that you think are by him. That last pitch, he managed to just drop the head on it and line it into left field.
Chris Johnson, the former D-back.
He looks like one of those guys, if you're going to go in, just go inside for show. Push him off the plate, make sure it's not a strike, make sure it's in a location he can't get the bat on, and go right back away again.
Johnson 1 for 4 with a single last night. He's hit in 3 straight. This is down and away. It's 1-1. Let's take a look at Evan Gattis.
You know, like a lot of guys, really no stride at all. And that pitch down on the inside part of the plate, he can get to it very quick.
One and 2. Chris Johnson, a guy who in a sense last year kind of came out of nowhere, messed around and almost won a batting title. And does very well like Gattis against left-hand pitching. Miley gets his first strikeout, 2 down.
Very nice use of the changeup there in that at bat against Chris Johnson. Got 2 swinging strikes on changeups in the low 80s with good sinking action. It's going to be a good pitch for Wade if he keeps it down there.
And Johnson is really striking out in bunches lately, 25% of the time, as he will expand his strike zone. Speaking of strikeouts, here's Dan Uggla, and not to pile on, but it has been an adventure. He is just 2 for his last 28. And getting what has become an all too brief for him look at a starting spot at second base.
This is only his 4th start in the last 28 Braves games. 15 plate appearances for Uggla since May 6th.
He started only 7 games last month. Freddie Gonzalez, you just can't bury him completely down there. He's simply making too much money. He's got a 5-year, $62 million deal. They are still paying him through the end of next season. But as Bob said, he is hardly playing at all anymore, as the offensive game has been in steady decline. Last year he had a .179. He can still take you deep, 22 home runs last year, but he has struck out at least 149 times every year for the last 7 years. And last year struck out 171 times, matching a career high. And it's almost come to the point where it might be beyond salvaging, at least for Dan Uggla in Atlanta. But the money in moving him somewhere else has been problematic, to say the least.
All that being said, Uggla still leads the majors in forearms.
Take that to arbitration. Shallow center, Ender Inciarte. Strand Gavis. Martin Prado bobblehead night here at Chase Field. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. The man himself leads it off. Himself. Remember the blow dart?
Yeah, the blow darts. They were big last year, especially early in the season. Haven't seen much of it this year.
And let's watch Martin go through his routine. And then he'll take the straight, direct line into the batter's box. The bat off the toes, and now we'll stop and do the hands and the gloves and the whole thing. Martin Prado. He has hit in every game this month, 5 straight. He has got 10 hits in his last 20 at-bats. .283 on the year with a pair of homers. Looks at strike one. What a surprise. 1 for 4 with a single last night. Simmons at short, and Prado's aboard to lead off the second. So he has hit in 6 straight.
He's everywhere, including on first base here to start the bottom half of the second inning. Got a slider from Santana down over the middle of the plate, just over Simmons into left field. Nice soft line drive to get it started.
David Peralta hitting 6th tonight and starting in left field. There's strike one. Mark Wegner, the crew chief, is the plate umpire. Peralta has been in the big leagues less than a week. He's got 8 hits in his first 19 major league at bats. There he goes again. How about 9 for 20? Not a bad start. And there it is, a new Diamondbacks record. He has hit in 6 straight games to begin his career. He has tied the record set by Alex Cabrera in 2000.
Don't stop to think about it. Just keep doing it. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
9 for 20 to begin his major league career. And now he has tied Alex Cabrera's Diamondbacks record by hitting in 6 straight games to begin his career. And the D-backs have first and second. Nobody out for Chris Owings. Right to Uggla at second, and Prado is just back in time. Heads up base running there by Martin. Is he all right? He's holding his right foot. He was diving back in to get back to that bag.
Center fielder.
Good reaction by both runners. Freeze on a line drive. Jam that right foot into the bag hard, as he just does beat Simmons to the base.
Well, he hasn't needed any attention. All smiles out there, so hopefully everything is okay. 2 on, 1 out, and Ender Inciarte steps in. Ball 1. Ender 182 and 4 RBIs. He was 0 for 3 last night. That snapped a 4-game hit streak. Up the middle. Simmons behind the bag. Can't handle it. Uggla picks it up. They get the force on Peralta and throw it away, and Prado will score. Uggla made a nice play of that one, recovering it after Simmons couldn't get a handle on it, but then the execution failed them, and it's 1-0 D-backs.
Well, that's a textbook example of trying to do too much. Once that ball is bobbled right there by Simmons, you just have to take it out and concede the double play, but Uggla tries to make a miraculous play, throwing back against his own body and threw it into the dugout over there. You see that ball on our Phantom Cam hit right off the thumb of Simmons.
Wade Miley shoots it out to center. B.J. Upton over toward left center on the run. He's got it. And that's the inning. But the Diamondbacks pick up a run. They lead it 1-0. 2 weeks from today, Saturday, June 21st, D-backs and Giants, first 20,000 in attendance. Receive this D-backs duffel bag courtesy of Gila River Casinos, and you can get the most bang for your buck with the D-backs value pack. That includes a bleacher ticket, a hot dog or a Subway sandwich, a regular Pepsi, and a free cookie for only $21. For tickets, visit dbacks.com/value, and we'll see you here at Chase Field 2 weeks from today. Here's Sean Payton at the D-backs Baseball Academy. The batting cages high above courtside here at Chase Field, getting some big league instruction.
Watch your release point to contact, Sammy. There you go, buddy.
Release point to contact. It's good coaching. Coach him up. Andrelton Simmons leads off the third. 257 and 4 homers. Simmons a big RBI double in last night's ball game, gave the Braves a 3-2 lead in the 7th and chased Brandon McCarthy. Simmons been a bit down lately offensively, hitting under 180 over the last 2 weeks and trying to get it going. That is down the right field line, a fair ball. Simmons will head for second. Throw from Parra. Gets away and rolls to the left, and Simmons takes off for third. No one's at the bag. Well, there's no nice way of letting him out of this one. They fell asleep on that side of the infield, and Simmons stands at third.
Peralta in left and Prado at third both went to back up the play at second base, knowing full well that Gerardo Parra was going to give it a shot right there. Unfortunately, it's kind of like the old amoeba defense. Somebody has to rotate over and cover third base. I would assume that would be Wade Miley's responsibility if you see the third baseman and the left fielder backing up the play at second.
A double for Simmons, E9. The error on Parra on the throw puts Simmons at third, and here is the pitcher Santana. Infield in on the grass. Didi Gregorius smothers that one. Looks Simmons back to the bag, and they retire Santana for the first out here in the third. Didi has been busy down there in his first big league start at second base.
Right fielder Jason Hayward.
And now the infielders will see if they stay in with big Jason Hayward coming up. And if they do, I don't envy either Goldie or Didi down there.
Well, really, it's a crapshoot on the entire infield. We showed you the numbers in the open of the show. Jason Hayward, a guy that hits the ball all over the field, but usually when he pulls it, he hits it hard on the ground. We'll revisit what we showed you in the open of the show. Most of his hits coming to right field, a few less to center, and even less than that to left, but that's a nice spray chart for a leadoff hitter.
And a good example of why he has been such a consistent bat in this lineup as he swings at that one, 1-1. He says he's just not trying to do too much. Let the pitchers dictate where he hits the ball rather than trying to pull the ball or trying to go the other way. He just says, I just want to be on time and not miss the good ones. And it's really worked out. 2-1.
I was at Turner Field in Atlanta when Jason Hayward made his major league debut against the Cubs and Carlos Zambrano. In his first at bat in the major leagues, he hit a titanic home run to straightaway right field. Hit the back of the Braves bullpen out there.
And that's where the Henry Aaron comparison started. On the ground, that is a foul ball. 2-2. Well, the one weak spot in Hayward's offensive game to this point is he has looked at times overmatched against some lefties, and he is hitting under 200 versus left-hand pitchers this year. The old throwback Henry Aaron, Ralph Garr, early 70 Braves uniforms. The old Mike Lum unis. Two balls and two strikes. Infield still in on the grass for the D-backs. That is to third. Prado coming home. The throw is high, and Simmons is in there. They had a play at the plate, but the throw is upstairs, and Mark Wegner says that Simmons got in there under the tag. Here's Kirk Gibson. Got to block the plate.
Well, or comes straight down with the tag. You'll watch Miggy goes up the tag on the body right there. It looked like Simmons was able to get his foot through the wickets right there, and
look on Fox's Phantom cam.
Looked like he just did get on the plate before that tag was applied. Very close.
Thumbs down has been the signal from Alan Trammell. Alan Campbell, the video coordinator, saw what we just showed you at home. That's a fielder's choice and an RBI for Hayward. And it's a tie game, 1-1.
If you noticed on the pitch before that was fouled out of play, Simmons was charging down the third baseline. As a coach or a manager, you're always hoping for a foul ball with a runner at third base to see if he'll tip what he's going to do. Is he going on contact, or is he going to read the ball in play and then make a determination whether or not to try to score? Well, on the foul ball before, Simmons was charging down the third baseline and did so again when Hayward put the ball in play to Martin Prado.
Some sloppy Diamondback defense in this inning has led to a Braves run. The error by Parra on the throw, and then the high throw from Prado at third. This is in foul ground for Goldie, who's got room. 2 down.
Well, this is what I was talking about during the course of the Hayward at bat. Simmons takes his lead off third base. The ball's fouled down the first baseline, and Simmons is breaking on contact. You always hope to get a foul ball in that situation to see what that runner at third base is going to do. And on the very next pitch, the ground ball to the third base side, he was off on contact again.
2 down for Freddie Freeman, who lined out to Didi at second his first time. And he has done it again. That one's on one bounce. Gregorius, nice athletic play over there to get it. And that's the inning. But the Braves tie the ball game. It's 1-1.
Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz.
Braves and D-backs 1-1. Chase Field in downtown Phoenix, home of the great state of Arizona. And Didi Gregorius leads off the bottom of the third against Irvin Santana.
Let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the game. The old 1-2. This works a couple of different ways. The Diamondbacks 1 and 2 hitters coming into play tonight over their last 9 games were hitting over 400. And against Santana, leadoff hitters have hit 387 this year. Number 2 hitters have hit 407.
So give him the old 1-2.
Give him the old 1-2.
I like it. The top of the order lately has been outstanding for the Diamondbacks. And especially Didi, who has taken to this leadoff spot like a duck to water. He's down 0-2 here, though. So since his recall from AAA Reno, Didi Gregorius is 5 for 9 with 2 homers. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
And getting his first ever major league start at second base. He played a couple of innings at second in that game at Coors Field a few days ago after starting at shortstop. Prior to this year, he had played only 4 games at second base in his entire minor league career. That was mostly with a Cincinnati organization. So it's still a relatively new spot, but boy, he has looked terrific over there.
He covers a lot of ground, which you would expect. He's a very athletic kid, good quickness, good first step. And a shortstop's arm at second base. I can't wait to see him make that one play out there in shallow center field where he does the jump throw and catches somebody by surprise at first base.
Aaron Hill getting the night off. Dan Uggla tackles it down there, and he's got no play. A rough ball game so far at second for the Braves. Dan Uggla.
Oh, it's hit pretty well. Looked like Uggla just tried to smother it and keep it in front, but he goes down to a knee, ends up doing a bear crawl after that ball, and with Didi busting it down that first baseline, he's going to beat that throw easily.
Another error on the Braves second baseman. That's 2 tonight. And with Didi aboard, here is Gerardo Parra. Last time we were in this spot, Parra bunted the runner over. Credited with a sacrifice. Parra much more selective up there at the plate lately. We have seen the on-base percentage keep going up. There was a stretch late last month when he was striking out a lot, 14 strikeouts over a 13-game span, but lately that trend is actually reversing itself. He has walked 6 times in his last 4 games. And that, combined with all the hitting he's been doing lately, the OBP is going up, which is exactly what you want from a guy who hits either usually first or second in the order. Hitting .350 over the last 10 games, 7 RBIs in his last 10. Can't lay off that one. He's down 0-2.
That's pitch number 31 on the ball game for Santana. Didi Gregorius has seen 11 of those. The rest of the lineup has seen 20 pitches combined.
He's turned it up to 11.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations. Santana trying to set up Gregorius over there at first base. The first pickoff move, slower. Feet were a little slower. The throw wasn't nearly as firm, and that time he was trying to pick him off in earnest.
So guys will do that, give you a kind of a half-hearted move to...
Oh, absolutely. You know, especially those lefties that have a real good pickoff move. They'll show you a really bad one, something you can read real quickly. And then they'll show you one that's kind of in the middle, and then they'll show you another bad one, and then they'll put the good pickoff move on you and catch you out there in no man's land.
Well, that seems dishonest.
It's just gamesmanship, using all the tools available.
1 ball and 2 strikes. I mean, Didi doesn't run a lot. I mean, that really, since we've seen him over the last year or so, has not really been part of his game.
I consider Didi to be a good base runner, but
sure,
not a good base stealer.
Yeah.
Just doesn't have that explosive first couple of steps that you like to see on guys that steal for a high percentage.
This is inside there in 91. It's even 2-2. has had it rolling lately, hitting nearly .330 over the last 2 weeks. There goes Gregorius. The throw is in the dirt. Gaddis has no play. A stolen base for Didi. And a 3-2 count for Parra. So we've gone from 0-2 to 3-2. And that is his first career stolen base. As we just said, this has not been a part of his game.
Didn't get a great jump, but fortunately the pitch was in the dirt. Gaddis couldn't find the handle on the ball and just decided to hang on to it rather than risk a bad throw.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Gregorius at second. Roll to first, Freeman. And now Didi is at third, 1 away.
Nice job by Parra, even with the 2-strike count, able to hook that ball to the right side, move Didi up to third base with 1 out in the inning. I'm sure he'll get some fist bumps and high fives back in that third base dugout.
There's Goldie. Last time up, he swung at the first pitch from Santana and laced it to left, but right at just up to. So Goldie now at 301. Still leading the league in hits and doubles. And hold up there. It's 0-1. Santana is such a fastball slider guy. When he does really take something off, he can be tricky. And again, he's done this a lot. Just can't get comfortable out there, it seems. Steps on, ready to go, and then steps off and kind of resets. Well above major league average right there. Two and one. Irvin Santana's best start for the Braves so far was his first one. 8 innings of shutout ball against the Mets. He gave up only 3 hits. He opened up the season 4-0 for Atlanta. Lately, things have not gone quite as well. Right back to the mound. Didi back to third. They throw out Goldie. And there are 2 down.
Well, that's unfortunate. The Braves were willing to concede that run at third base. They were playing their infield back. The only place you could hit the ball in the infield and not get a run is back to the mound. Unfortunately, that's where that one ended up. Johnson playing behind the base over there at third. Same thing for Freddie Freeman at first. Both the middle infielders were playing way back.
So they'll need a 2-out hit from Miguel Montero, who struck out his first time. Miggy, a pair of 3-hit games at Coors Field, including 2 home runs in the last series against the Rockies. And of course, that career night on Wednesday, 6 RBIs, a career high. He has had multi-hit games in 3 of his last 4. And Miggy now with 7 home runs on the year. He got number 7 Thursday in Denver. That was June 5th. Last year didn't hit his 7th home run of the season until July 13th. So by the calendar, he's a month ahead of last year's schedule. Drives it right to Simmons at short. And they strand the runner at third. We are through 3 at Chase Field. It's a 1-1 ball game. is the place to turn before every slam, every goal, and every game. America's pregame weekdays at 3 on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Downtown Phoenix, Arizona. Diamondbacks and Braves 1-1 as we start the 4th. And former D-back Justin Upton steps in against Wade Miley. Upton grounded out his first time. And you have to be very careful here if you're a left-hand pitcher. Upton crushing lefties at a nearly 440 pace this year. He swings at the first one. And this is a routine out for Parra. One pitch, one out in the 4th. With Jason Hayward in the first at bat, swung at the first pitch. Freddie Freeman has seen 2 pitches in 2 at bats. Upton up there hacking. First pitch here in the 4th. He's a strike thrower. They must be looking for strikes.
That's a common approach against a pitcher that throws a lot of strikes. Likes to jump ahead in the count, try to ambush that first strike. As long as you make quality pitches, keep them out of the middle, keep them down. You love guys swinging at that first delivery. 4 one-pitch outs already in this game.
And Gaddis is up there hacking. It's 0-1. That's like a endurance contest at this pace. In his first at bat, when he singled, that extended his hitting streak to 9 games. Jackie and Francis, 50 years.
We're glad they chose to celebrate with the Diamondbacks here tonight. Congratulations.
Hey.
I got 8 coming up next week.
Uh-oh.
Pressure's on.
Let's see, what is 8? 8 is bronze.
Now I notice you have a list there handy with you, because don't you have?
I'm sneaking up on a big one. Yeah,
4-0, right?
Yeah, 40 in August.
Bronze. So that means, what can I get that's bronze? Like a, I don't know, something. It better be good. That's all I know.
Spray tan?
We live in Arizona. Well, hit center. Inciarte. It's off the wall. Evan Gaddis smashes one 407 feet plus, and he's got his 6th double. He's 2 for 2.
Once again, that quick swing, no stride whatsoever. Generates an awful lot of power. That ball hit on that slanted surface out there just above the 407 mark. Popped straight up in the air, giving Gaddis plenty of time to motor into second. 105 off the bat.
The major league high this year is still 110 by Giancarlo Stanton, so that shows you how hard that ball was hit. Brings up Chris Johnson, who struck out his first time. And he's up there swinging at the first pitch, 0-1. And it's easy to see what is happening when you look at some of Chris Johnson's offensive numbers. They jump out at you. He is walking only 2% of the time this year and striking out 25% of the time. He struck out in his first at bat.
Yeah, I had Chris Johnson as a WW coming into this series. That's a won't walk. 58 ball games coming into play tonight. 56 strikeouts, only 5 walks. That's hard to do.
Swings at a lot more pitches that simply aren't strikes. He will get himself out up there if you let him. And this year, he is among the worst in baseball at swinging at pitches outside the strike zone. The plate discipline is broken down, which is remarkable considering that last year he hit .321 and finished 2nd in the National League in hitting. Big decline. And he's down here 0-2. On the ground to second, Didi Gregorius once again. 2 outs, Gaddis to third. Well, it's that time again. Fans, send us your D-backs fan photo using the hashtag AZFanPhoto for your chance to have it shown in our game broadcast. It's brought to you by AT&T. Now, no Brandon Webb here tonight. Shane Doan
Shane
involved
Doan
at all?
on probation to see how he does with the AT&T photo tonight. And
well, what happens if he picks a Coyote fan or something?
It's all right.
All right. Dan Uggla swinging at the first pitch. And this has been a recurring theme here. They have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight guys now for the Braves have swung at the first pitch. They are up there trying to ambush Wade Miley, who has a reputation as a strike thrower in and around the zone a lot. And against the Braves, that will lead to some strikeouts. These guys strike out a ton. First pitch strikes, 12 of 16.
Boy, and if you get a team up there looking to ambush fastballs, either throw a fastball where they can't get to it or throw that straight changeup we've seen a lot of in the early going tonight.
1-2. Dan Uggla out of the University of Memphis, an 11th round pick by the D-backs in 2011. Wound up a Rule 5 guy and went to the Marlins. 2001, I should say. Braves picked him up, and for a while it worked out real well. A lot of home runs. Lately, not so much. Another strikeout. A Strand Gaddis after the 1-out double. Dan Uggla swing and a miss. It's 1-1.
Had some fun with Martin Prado this season, watching his routine in the on-deck circle, and part of that routine is that little white thumb guard that he wears on his right hand. Now, we talked about it in last night's ball game. Generally, as you take a look at this swing from last night, you see the big part of the white thumb guard on the outside. Usually that's on the big fleshy part, the big muscle at the base of your thumb. That guard is designed to help protect against a bone bruise. Martin said sometimes it just feels better to roll it around the other way and use the small part of the thumb guard to protect that big muscle at the base of his right thumb.
Well, with all his accoutrement that he walks up there, including the cross that he wears, which is on the bobblehead, by the way. Nice job. There's a lot of accessorizing when you're designing a Martin Prado bobblehead. A lot goes into it. So maybe next year we can get the pine tar and the thumb guard.
There you go.
And we'll have completed the set.
Or, you know, anybody that's had children that had Barbie dolls or G.I. Joes, you buy the accessory pack that has an extra pair of shoes that you always lose, and a purse, and some jewelry for Barbie, and some weapons for G.I. Joe. Get the accessory pack for the Martin Prado bobblehead. It'd have a little pine tar rag, the thumb guard, the ankle guard, the cross. He'd have it all going on. Sold separately.
Not included. You're a marketing genius.
See, speaking of marketing, we promote the duffel bag day at the ballpark.
Now, 2 weeks.
In my mind, I would give the duffel bag first, so you had somewhere to keep your bobblehead dolls and your D. Baxter hat.
I wish they would check with you on this stuff.
I have to do everything around here.
In my mind, that is a good call. 3-1 is in the left. Martin Prado on his bobblehead night, 2 for 2. Now you make the duffel the first giveaway item, and then every time there's a giveaway you come to the game, you just bring the duffel bag.
Throw the latest giveaway item in the bag. That way you know where they're all at. Once again, the thumb guard on the outside of the right thumb, but the ball right on the barrel of the bat. 2 knocks tonight for Martin Prado.
And here is David Peralta, who's also been on a streak of multi-hit games. He singled his first time up. And that tied the Diamondbacks record with hits in 6 straight games to begin your major league career, held by Alex Cabrera back in 2000. There's Waldo. We found him finally. Didn't get far enough away from Gaddis for Prado to advance. And so Peralta, as he steps in here, 9 for 20 to begin his major league career. And speaking of multi-hit games, in his first 5 big league games, 3 of them multi-hit games. He's already got 1 tonight. Right back to the mound. Santana spins and throws. Simmons turns it 2 down. Santana is a guy that fields his position pretty well.
Shortstop, Chris Owings.
Brings up Chris Owings. Chris lined out to second base his first time up, swung at the first pitch. And so he has got 7 hits now in his last 13 at bats, including 2 doubles and 2 home runs. And big series he had at Coors Field. Last night got double switched into the ball game and struck out in his only at bat. In the air to center, easy play for B.J. Upton. We are through 4. It's 1-1, Braves and Diamondbacks.
Very accurate depiction of what it actually is. I think that's actually the healing time. And if you're ahead of schedule, so be it. But 6 to 8 weeks is usually the time it takes for an injury to heal, and then you have to rehab and get into some game action after that.
Mark Trumbo with our Geico quote of the game. Over the last couple of days, he's actually been on the field taking batting practice for the first time. You'll recall he's been on the disabled list since the 3rd week of April with that stress fracture in his left foot. He told me that he expects to be back at the end of June. Fellas, back to you.
Well, he has been sorely missed, Cindy, that's for sure. Mark, in 21 games this year, hit 7 homers as Andrelton Simmons leads off the 5th for Atlanta. So if you look at left field production, which is why they identified a need and went out and acquired Mark Trumbo from the Angels, 21 games, 7 home runs for Trumbo before he was injured. All the other Diamondback left fielders have played 42 games and hit 1 home run. And so in terms of the production, he has been sorely missed. But the news so far has been very encouraging. And David Peralta, since he stepped up over the list last week, raised some eyebrows. He's looked real good.
Ten of 17 Brave hitters in this game have gone to the plate and swung at the first pitch. 4 one-pitch outs. You gotta love that.
Center field, long run, and Cincinnati can cover some ground, and he's got it, 1 away. Go back downstairs to Cindy Brunson. Cindy.
Thanks so much, Steve. You guys were talking about the production of David Peralta. It has impressed Kirk Gibson so much so that he is going to tinker with moving Peralta to center to give Inciarte a break and give the lineup a little bit more flexibility. Gibby didn't give a date on when that might happen, but D-backs Nation can expect it.
Thanks very much. So maybe Peralta in center to give Cody Ross a few at bats as they try and get Cody back on track. Santana up there 1-0. And Bob, you can certainly speak to this. As much flexibility as you can have, never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing. You get the hot hand, you can leave him in there for days, maybe move somebody else to another position to get the hot hand in the lineup, or if the opposite is true, somebody's really struggling, you've got guys that can move around, play multiple positions, and that's always a good thing for a manager.
2-2 on Santana. Didi Gregorius, good example of that as Santana strikes out. That's 3 strikeouts for Miley, 2 down in the 5th. Brings up Jason Hayward.
Right fielder Jason Hayward.
Wade Miley, 1 win in his last 10 starts. 7 of those starts have been D-backs losses. He is trying to get it going. Hey guys. His ERA during that span is over 5. He has not been nearly as efficient lately as he's been in the past when he's been at his best. So this is a very encouraging start. There's strike 1 to Hayward. And when Wade Miley is at his best, it means consistent ground ball outs. This year, Wade is 24th among National League starting pitchers in ground ball frequency. Last year, he was 4th, but the ground ball has been working tonight. That's 7 ground ball outs for Wade Miley, who works a 1-2-3-5. It's a 1-1 ball game. down every game ender and every history-making moment on MLB Whip Around. Weeknights at 7 on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. July 15th, Target Field in Minneapolis. It's the MLB All-Star Game on Fox. And you can vote right here at Chase Field. You can vote at home and vote online and vote early and vote often in the whole thing.
It works for Chicago politics. It can work for the All-Star Game.
Ender Inciarte leads off the D-backs 5th. Inciarte, Miley, Gregorius 8-9-1 against Irvin Santana. Diamondbacks have had base runners against Santana in every inning. The defense behind him hasn't exactly been stellar, but it's kind of the way things have gone for him lately after that terrific start. He opened up 4-0 as a Brave. Mark Wegner grants time, but over his last 4 starts, Santana going into tonight had given up 20 runs on 30 hits in only 23 innings. And 3 of those last 4 starts have been Braves losses. He was a winner his last time out. That was a week ago today at Miami. 3 runs on 7 hits in 6. This is away there, 2-2.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
Ender Inciarte's aboard to lead off the 5th. And that's what you want to see to lead off the inning when the pitcher's coming up next. Perfect.
Pitcher, Wade Miley.
So Ender now 9 hits over his last 10 games. And here's Miley. I'm flashing the bunt sign from up here. Perfectly executed. Inciarte to second, 1 away.
Has to be a little bit tempting to let Wade Miley swing away in what appears to be an obvious bunt situation. Nice job by Wade to get the bunt down that time, but he can swing that bat a little bit.
Oh yeah, sure.
He's a dangerous hitter, especially in like I said, an obvious bunt situation where the opposing pitcher is probably going to try to throw him a high fastball, and that's a pitch that Wade can usually get on.
But leadoff man aboard, 1-1 game, 5th inning.
Yep. Do your job.
Here's Didi. He singled to lead off the ball game. Gaddis keeps it in front. Ender stays at second. And again, these two trying to get together. It has not been seamless so far for Santana and Gaddis.
Now, last time Gaddis went out to the mound in a similar situation with the runner at second, he didn't even flash a sign when he went back behind home plate. He just verbally told Santana what he wanted with the next pitch. Well, this time he goes through a series of signs to let the middle infielders know what's coming.
And again, it's in the dirt. He's doing a good job back there. You talked about that, Bob, last night. He's not bad back there.
No, he's more than serviceable. This is a guy that wants to be the best. He wants to work hard and improve his skills behind the plate. Early on, there was some questioning his pitch calling. He got in the advance reports, got on the video, talked with his pitching staff and his pitching coach, and they say that aspect of his game has much improved since the beginning of the season. I mean, there's still no question he's an offense-first catcher, but he wants to improve his skills, so there's no question. There's no taking him out of ball games late for defense. He wants to be the everyday guy back there, which will get interesting this summer in Atlanta when the temperatures start to heat up.
Well, Gaddis is a fascinating story. Quite a journey to the big leagues. 2-1. 3-1 now.
Well, that journey took him down some real dark alleys at times.
Signed to play college baseball at Texas A&M. Got involved in drugs and alcohol. Never showed up at College Station. Made him afraid of failure, he said. All the expectations. He was a top prospect. Ball 4. Didi's aboard. He's been on base in all 3 plate appearances. Not bad when you're leading off. Yeah, Gaddis went through rehab, played a season at Seminole State College in Oklahoma, got hurt there, quit the team, and just wandered around like a vagabond. He worked a whole bunch of odd jobs aimlessly. He was a ski lift operator. He was a valet, worked at a golf course, worked as a janitor. Decided to give baseball another shot, played 1 season of college ball in West Texas, got drafted in the 23rd round, and arrived late last year as a 26-year-old rookie, ended up hitting 21 home runs, and now here he is as Brian McCann's replacement. Quite a journey. Gerardo Parra fouls off the first pitch, 0-1. Inciarte, the runner at second. Gregorius at first. 1 out, 1-1 here in the 5th. Santana has bounced a whole bunch of them up there in this half inning. Two balls and a strike. Parra 7 RBIs in his last 10 games. Chance to give the D-backs a lead right here. Well, he can't throw a strike right now.
15 pitches so far in this inning. 9 of them have been out of the strike zone.
And trouble looms. Center field. B.J. Upton at the track. Inciarte tags and heads for third. They're on the corners with 2 outs for Goldie. Parra gave it a ride. And once again, the D-backs need a 2-out hit. Goldie so far 0 for 2. He lined out to left and tapped back to the mound. There is the ballot. Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming up on Fox. And again, it's in the dirt from Santana. 1-0. Inciarte singled. Miley sacrificed him over to second. Gregorius walked. Inciarte tagged up on the Parra fly ball. So it's first and third. 2 outs for Goldie. Two and 0.
Boy, Santana has been behind in the count to a lot of Diamondbacks hitters. They've had some good swings against him. Some of those have resulted in balls hit right at his defenders. But you keep messing around with big league hitters 2-0 and 3-1, you're going to pay the price eventually.
Cannot throw a strike. 3-0. Really trying to find his command right now.
You saw that sign from Freddie Gonzalez to his catcher Evan Gaddis, reminding him that the Diamondbacks will swing away 3-0, especially Paul Goldschmidt with runners on base. Ooh. I guess Goldie figures, hey, he's got to throw 2 more in the strike zone to get me out. This one is right down the middle. Man, throw that again.
Yeah, please. You don't get too many of those on purpose. The bases are loaded, and here comes Miguel Montero. Second walk in the inning for Santana. Now 21. Here's Gaddis, and it's conference time. These two have, oh, it's been like coffee talk out there. They're all verklempt.
Talk amongst yourselves.
I'll give you a topic.
Now batting, catcher.
Ender Inciarte, the runner at third. Didi Gregorius at second, and Paul Goldschmidt aboard at first. 21 pitch inning for Irvin Santana. 13 of those 21 pitches have been balls, and now he will deal with Miguel Montero, who is 0 for 2. Bases full of D-backs, 2 down in a 1-1 ball game. Ball 1. Nice target out there for a left-hand hitter. That is a fair ball. Freeman has it, and the D-backs leave him loaded. Santana wiggles off the hook, and it stays 1-1.
One of those is to play Kachinko. You can do that by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game.
A lot to do here at Chase Field. You can play Kachinko. You can hang out in the pool, the RamTrucks.com pool area. A great view of the ball game, and a good game so far. 1-1 as we start the 6th. And B.J. Upton leads it off for the Braves against Wade Miley. Upton so far 0 for 2.
B.J. Upton has seen 4 pitches in this ball game.
He is not selective, and he is striking out this year at an alarming rate. At one point this season, he struck out 18 times in 26 plate appearances. That's a slump.
That is a big-time slump. And coming into this at-bat, before this at-bat, B.J. had seen 3 pitches. Freddie Freeman in the on-deck circle had seen 2. Between them, they saw a total of 5 pitches and made 4 outs.
That'll work. That'll make anybody efficient out there. Well, this is a guy, Upton, who struck out in 34% of his at-bats last year. And that number is right about 30% this year. And there it is. 4 strikeouts for Wade Miley. He's retired 6 in a row, 1 down.
BJ's got a lot going on in preparation for his swing. Watch that front foot. That's been modified since last year. He used to just kind of rock up on his toe and show the pitcher the bottom part of the heel of his left shoe. Had a lot of buggy whipping going on with his bat. He's tried to simplify things a little bit this year, but not getting any results.
Freddie Freeman again swings at the first pitch. That one is fouled away. It's 0-1. So far, 3 at bats, 3 pitches.
11 out of 21 for the Braves tonight have swung at the first pitch.
I mean, he is up there hacking. This is like he's at a driving range. Tee it up.
The team bus must be double parked or something. We're trying to get the at-bats over with quickly.
Well, he is really scuffling lately, and it looks like it here tonight. He is hitting barely 200 over his last 16 games. Lifts that high in the air. Left field, easy play for David Peralta. 2 down. I mean, these guys are just getting themselves out in a lot of cases. And doing Wade Miley's job in a sense for him. And this is a classic Wade Miley start. This is what you're looking for. I mean, the last couple have been exciting. He's been racking up the strikeouts lately. 20 in his last 2 starts, only 1 walk. But it's more a start like this where he is really at his best. Quick, efficient outs. Justin Upton 0 for 2.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the nature of the fly ball outs as well. There haven't really been a lot of hard hit balls in the air, a lot of lazy flies, some pop ups on the infield, some real defensive swings from the Braves when they've been behind in the count.
Races that one to right field, and he's got a 2-out single. Justin Upton 1 for 3. That ends a stretch of 7 straight set down by Miley.
Catcher Evan Gattis.
And here comes trouble in Evan Gattis. 2 hard hit balls against Miley so far, a single and a double. He's 2 for 2. Justin Upton a perfect 6 for 6 in stolen base attempts this year, so they'll keep an eye on him with Gattis up there. Gattis is a guy last year who averaged a home run once every 17 at bats. This year it's a homer once every 12 at bats. And with the way he swung the ball or swung the bat tonight, you see why those quick hands that Bob has talked about. Kind of lashes at it. He's also giving the Braves better numbers in terms of his walks, his batting average. They're both up, so it's been a good start here as their #1 catcher.
This would normally, as you mentioned, be a running situation for Justin Upton over their first base, but low percentage move against Wade Miley. He has yet to allow a stolen base this season, and in his career only 11 steals, 14 caught stealing. Has an average move to first base, not a great pickoff move, but the key is he unloads the ball so quickly to home plate.
Well, he's behind on Gattis, 3-1. Chris Johnson on deck. Base hit left center. They can't cut it off. It rolls to the wall. Justin Upton will come in and he will score, and it's 2-1 Atlanta. El Oso Blanco, 3 for 3.
Wade Miley's only had three ball counts in this game, including this one to Evan Gattis, and he makes him pay. Once again, goes down and digs out a low pitch, splits that gap in left center field. Oh, everything he has hit tonight has been right on the button. And with 2 outs, Upton just lets it out. Long striding around those bases, scores easily from first on that double to left center.
And that brings up Chris Johnson with Gattis at second and 2 down, a run in. Johnson has struck out and grounded out, 0 for 2.
Mentioned only 3 ball counts in the game for Wade Miley. 2 of those to Evan Gattis, and he doubled on both of them.
Boy, he is, when he's hit the ball tonight, he has just smoked it. Short right, Gerardo Parra. Braves take a 2-1 lead. CenturyLink, your link to what's next coming up for the D-backs on Martin Prado bobblehead night. Prado leads off the 6th. FN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They are watching right now around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. And to all of you, we say welcome and thank you for your service from all of us here at Fox Sports Arizona. Irving Santana now with a 2-1 lead as we start the bottom of the 6th. Prado, Peralta, Owings, 5, 6, and 7. In front of a good crowd here at Chase Field in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. Better than 29,000. And some work to do here for the Diamondbacks. And Prado so far 2 for 2. He'll lead it off in the 6th. One and 0. Been a tremendous run for Prado over the last 25 games. He looks at another ball, 2-0. Since May 9th, he's hit .355. He's got 17 RBIs in his last 25 games. 2-0 is swung on and line right to Freddie Freeman, one away.
Nothing wrong with that at bat, even though it ends with a line drive out to first base. Took a couple of pitches to get himself in a good hitter's count. Got a ball middle of the plate away. Hit it right on the button. Unfortunately, right at a Braves defender.
David Peralta, 1 for 2. He singled in the second. There's a strike, 0-1. Over the glove of Santana, and Peralta has got another base hit. Since his call up from AA Mobile on Sunday, in 6 games, Peralta has 4 multi-hit games. He has hit every time he's played.
The high chopper gets over the mound. We've seen Andrelton Simmons make some highly acrobatic plays from his shortstop position, but even he can't do anything with that one.
I love the way this guy runs the bases. He is like a freight train coming up and down those baselines. And coming right at you, Sherles. Len Sherlock down there at third. Peralta at first, 1 away. Here's Chris Owings. So far, CO 0 for 2. Trip to Coors Field did Chris Owings a world of good. That bat sprang back to life. Just before the series against the Rockies in Colorado earlier this week, Chris went through a 3-week stretch where he hit only .205, and his average for the year dropped by more than 50 points. But then he went to Colorado and woof. 7 hits, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs in 3 games. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hard down the left field line, but just yanked foul, and a tremendous play down there by Barry Zins, our Golden Glover, who played that one nicely on a hop.
Yes, he did.
Look at Barry Zins.
Sacrifices his body for the good of the team, plays that carom, makes sure to get the body in front. Nice play, Barry.
Making Kirk Farley down the right field line look bad. Kirk's otherwise engaged. 0-1. Now it's 2-2, pardon me. We're getting our score box all straightened out. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Santana, 82 pitches. So we're getting up there a bit.
Most starting pitchers usually sit on the bench until the last instant when they have to go up to the on-deck circle. Look at Wade Miley lurking over there. Can't wait to get up there and get his hats.
Well, he also probably wants to remind Kurt Gibson, look, I got this. I can take the AB if I get up here in this inning. Nobody throwing for the Diamondbacks in the bullpen. Two. There goes Peralta. That is lifted foul ground. Freeman might have room here, and he makes a nice catch. And Peralta does a good job getting back to the bag. Nice play there by Freddie Freeman.
A good recovery that time by Peralta. He was off with the pitch, breaking for second base. Once he realized that ball was hitting the air in foul territory, he had to slam on the brakes, reverse engines, and get back to the bag quickly at first. Freeman with that nice catch right in front of his own dugout. By the time he snaps the throw over to Santana covering the bag, Peralta got back with a slide.
Dave McKay coaching down at first. 2 down. And here is Ender Inciarte. He singled his last time up. First pitch swinging, hit high to center, routine for B.J. Upton. We are through 6. The Braves lead the D-backs 2-1. Chase Field next Tuesday, June 10th, D-backs and the Houston Astros. The game is not on TV that day. Bob Brenly will be floating around in the pool, so take the day off and head out to the ballpark. Grab a D-backs dog, sit back, watch the ball game. First pitch, 12:40. Plus weekday afternoon games this season feature discounted matinee prices, so you get a break on the tickets too, so come on down. Purchase your tickets at dbacks.com/matinee, or you can play with the Legos. That's nice down there. Look at that.
Nice.
Dan Uggla leads off the Atlanta 7th. Braves lead at 2-1. Wade Miley, the pitch count well under control, so not an issue as of yet. Miley has thrown over 100 pitches in a ball game 6 times this year. His high for the year is 114. That was 2 starts ago when he struck out 11 Padres, so he's got a ways to go here. Uggla 0 for 2. He struck out his last time up. And this start so far for Miley, very similar to what has probably been his best start all year. Well, that was 8 innings at Coors Field, April 6th. 3-2 now on Uggla. He went 8 innings and under 100 pitches. Only had 2 strikeouts in that ball game. He was very efficient, a lot of ground ball outs, and as we've said, that's when he's at his best. Uggla, Simmons, and Santana bottom third of the Atlanta order. So with Santana due to hit in this inning, you look down to the bullpen to see what Freddie Gonzalez might be thinking, but the bullpen for the Braves is quiet right now. 3-2. So both managers here going to let their starters take the ball for a while. D-backs have out-hit the Braves 6-5, but they trail it 2-1. This is lifted in the air to right. Parra at the track, and he's got it, 1 away. Well, it's that time again. Buckle up. AT&T fan photo. I've heard that Shane Doan was involved in the selection. Jesse.
Food is a pretty good way to get your picture on the air as well.
I believe, is that the D-bat dog?
It looked like it.
Shane does. See, Shane was up there checking out the photo, so he's hold on. The Brenly committee is calling. Still on probation.
Still on probation.
That's brought to us by our friends at AT&T. Andrelton Simmons looks at ball 1. He doubled and scored in the third, 1 for 2. I don't think I would like to tell the Shane Doan that he didn't make it. That's another concern.
That's why he's still on probation. You know?
That's right.
We don't want to really make him mad. Let him think he's still in the running.
Look, he's calling. Can you get me in? Do you know Brenly? Can you get me in? 3-0.
Well, a year or so, he would have just walked out his front door and around the corner and knocked on my door. He used to be a neighbor.
You moved to a better neighborhood?
Oh, absolutely.
There's the strike, 3-1.
Shane Doan ruined me last year. We had him up here in the booth, and he was talking about being in the neighborhood and running into each other from time to time, and how his kids used to always come to my house for Halloween because I gave out the big candy bars.
Word got out, huh?
Yeah.
Simmons knocks that into right for a 1-out single, his second hit.
Kind of like an advanced scouting report in baseball. This guy throws a lot of first pitch fastballs. Well, if you find out that a house in the neighborhood's giving out full-size candy bars,
increase the foot traffic in the driveway.
They beat a path to your door.
Pitcher Irvin Santana.
That has always been the policy at our house. My wife loves to give out the full-size bars. It's all about street cred.
Yeah, I think Donor ought to give out, what were they, ding-dongs? They look kind of like hockey pucks. So
that's a great call.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And they're so good for you. Conference time at the mound as Irvin Santana steps up. 90 pitches for Wade Miley, 56 for strikes. And the bullpen, crickets, all spectators down there. Prado well in on the grass at third. Santana pulls back, but that's a strike. 0-1. With the bunt, Paul Goldschmidt crashing in from first, so even though Simmons wanders off the bag down there, no one for Miguel Montero to throw to with the corners coming in. 0-2. There's the strikeout, a big one, 2 down now. And so Hayward will hit with Simmons still at first. It is his first year in the National League, so
it looks like it.
Santana not a lot of experience. Hayward another story though. He's a hitter. Got a 10-game hit streak on the line so far. 0 for 3. Does have an RBI after the fielder's choice back in the third. They got Simmons hung up, and the Braves run into an out on the bases. That ends the 7th. That's not a good look. D-backs trail it. Stretch time at Chase Field. It's 2-1 Atlanta.
All right, fans, it's time for the 7th inning stretch, presented by the Valley Honda Dealers. So get on your feet and join D-backs organist Bobby Freeman and the Valley Honda Dealers.
D-back 7th, and so this is it for Wade Miley, down a run. Eric Chavez will hit for the pitcher, and Miley's night ends here.
Good bounce back outing for Wade Miley tonight. After giving up 4 solo home runs his last time out against the Reds, really was dealing tonight, getting a lot of ground ball outs.
And that is always when he is at his best. Oliver Perez throwing for the D-backs in the Sanderson Ford bullpen, with Hayward scheduled to lead off the 8th for Atlanta. It's Chavez in the 7th for the D-backs. There's a strike, 0-1. Eric 1 for his last 14 up there. He's at .250 on the year. And 3 for 23 as a pinch hitter this year. This is pulled down the right field line, but foul. Oh, 0-2. Always good when you're a fan to be down by the bullpen. You can check things out, get a good view of a major league pitcher. Chavez shoots it the other way, but right to Johnson at third. One away. Brings up the leadoff man, Didi Gregorius, and he has so far excelled in this role. He's been on base 3 times. A single in the first. He reached on an error and stole a base in the third, and he walked his last time up. The numbers on mileage.
Gregorius and Parra, all 3 of those guys have filled this leadoff spot at different points during the season.
Kind of a theme there. I like that. There's a strike, 0-1.
The table setters.
You think it's occurred to them or just coincidence? Sure. They got something going there. They've also got all the colors. They've got the, well, they don't have the home whites. They got the black, the red, and the, looks like the road gray down there on Parra. Smartest fans in baseball right there. All lined up. 1-2.
We noticed when Andrelton Simmons got thrown out after being picked off first base in that last inning, he kind of came up lame and then breaking over to back up that Eric Chavez ground ball. Kind of broke it down. You see that left ankle just kind of flopping around as he went into second base there, and then grimaced again when he went to back up the play at third base.
Well, that has been a problem for him this year. He has had a nagging ankle injury. Backs up Freeman at first. Santana covers, 2 down. Yeah, Simmons has been dealing with inflammation in his right ankle for weeks now. He's been getting treatment for it. And he says it's not a big deal, just kind of a nagging thing. Here's another look.
Well, this is the left ankle.
Yeah, the other one.
Ooh, man, very dangerous slide that time. Everything just kind of comes apart there. The left ankle pops into the ground. Ends up laying on the outfield side of the bag, reaching back with his hand.
Gerardo Parra, 0 for 2.
Just keep smiling, Mom. Love the enthusiasm.
A lot of kids, of course, here today. Earlier we had our Arizona All-Stars parade. A lot of Little Leaguers out here, part of the Arizona All-Stars program. And the D-backs have proudly contributed over $85,000 to Arizona All-Stars participating in leagues. Find out how to sign up your league for the Arizona All-Star program. It's on the website for you, dbacks.com/AZ All-Stars. Or call group sales 602-462-4600. The Arizona All-Stars League. Dan Ugla. Santana works a 1-2-3 7th. We head to the 8th. D-backs down 2-1.
take long to get him involved in the action. The very first ground ball of the game came to him, as did the second one. And then a line drive. Recorded all 3 outs, two assists and 1 putout in that inning. And Didi has handled that position very well here tonight. Our Chaz Roberts, cool plays of the game.
And as we say, there's 1 D in defense. There are 2 Ds in Didi. New pitcher for the D-backs. Play like a road game.
Good advice.
D-backs 9-23 at home this year. They have a better record on the road, 17-14. So play it like a road game. And on the mound for the 8th inning, the left-hander Oliver Perez. He has been excellent so far this year. In fact, last 21 games, his ERA is .9, 2.70 for the season. And he'll give you the shimmy and the shake and the turn and the wind up and the windmill and the whole thing. All over. Jason Hayward will lead it off. Great crowd here with us, 29,000 plus on Martin Prado bobblehead now. Brad Ziegler has also started throwing down in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. Hayward, B.J. Upton, Freeman, top of the Atlanta order in the game. And Hayward in this at bat with a 10-game hit streak on the line. And it's been a tough night for Hayward. It would make sense that his hit streak would end here tonight facing left-handers. First Miley, now Perez. He is hitting under 200 versus left-hand pitching this year.
Now this is when you would expect Hayward to be a little more willing to take the ball to the opposite field. It's a tough lefty. Nice job that time by Perez to stand him up with a fastball up and in, which should open up a little bit of the outside corner.
Drives it to left center. Ender and Ciarte, 1 away in the 8th. Hey fans, FoxSportsArizona.com. All your online local sports coverage. Post-game analysis from Jack Zerr. Reaction from the D-backs clubhouse after the ball game tonight, and further details on the draft. We'll talk to Ray Montgomery, the scouting director, coming up soon as well. All that and more, FoxSportsArizona.com. D-backs thrilled with what they did in the draft as they look to the future. B.J. Upton, 0 for 3, struck out his last time. This is well hit to left center. Peralta. Nice job getting to that one. David Peralta, who might be playing some center field before this series is over. We'll see.
First baseman Freddie Freeman.
A little adjustment right at the very end of his route there. Retreated back to the warning track, reaches up, makes a nice running catch.
Saw him make a terrific catch at Coors Field in that finale. A look on Fox's Phantom Cam. Freddie Freeman 0 for 3. And for the first time all night, he does not swing at the first pitch. It's a strike 0-1.
A fly ball by B.J. Upton, the 5th 1-pitch out in the ball game for the Braves tonight.
They getting themselves out?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, Upton hit that ball well to the gap in left center. Just a nice defensive play to take away extra bases. I never had an issue with guys swinging at the first pitch as long as it's what you're looking for. If you go up to the plate and chase a first pitch slider in the dirt, now we've got some issues. Were you really looking for a slider in the dirt first pitch?
I had a plan. This is well hit. It drops into right. Freeman's got a 2-out single. And now with Justin Upton coming up, Brad Ziegler has been warming for the D-backs. We'll sure enough see Kirk Gibson right on cue. It'll be Ziegler versus Justin Upton when we come back.
Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox.
The great state of Arizona. Tight ball game here in downtown Phoenix. Chase Field. D-backs trail the Braves 2-1. And with 2 outs here in the top of the 8th inning, Brad Ziegler brought into the ball game to face Justin Upton for the Braves. Freddie Freeman at first with 2 down. 34th appearance of the year for Brad, a 2.61 ERA. Upton singled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Hole 1. Two for 2 so far. The frisbee 0-2. Just able to hold up.
Perfect example of trying to lead a guy out of the strike zone right there. Got him to chase that slider that was on the outer third of the plate, so comes right back with another one that's about 6 or 8 inches further outside, hoping to get him to chase that one too. Try it again.
Justin Upton is striking out this year more than ever. 30% of the time, the highest strikeout rate of his career. Two balls and 2 strikes. Freddie Freeman, the runner at first, 2 down. Got him. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. It's the Arizona 8th, and Goldie leads it off. Well, it's been a pitcher's duel here at Chase Field. Our Gila River game summary. Only 13 hits combined. Braves lead at 2-1. Santana and Miley both very good.
Really good. Santana with 1 strikeout in the game. That was Miguel Montero to end the first inning. I'd like to put some good swings on Santana in the ball game tonight. Hit some balls hard right at Braves defenders. And now Santana will give way to the Atlanta Braves bullpen.
This is Jay Simmons, a kid they really like a lot. They just called him up recently. He was down at AA Mississippi, where his ERA was .78. He has yet to give up a run in the big leagues this year. He was 14 for 14 in saves down there, and was in fact leading the Southern League in saves when he got called up. Saw him in the ball game last night, and now he'll work to Goldie to lead off the 8th in a 2-1 ball game. Paul Goldschmidt so far 0 for 2. He walked his last time up. One and one. Let's go, Goldie. Makes a good target.
We'd love to do it right here and do it quickly. You know, Craig Kimbrell is lurking down there in that Braves bullpen.
Goldie trying to make contact here. He has had at least one strikeout in 16 straight games. So he's gone through a stretch here with going into tonight 21 strikeouts in 62 at bats. And he's even here, 2-2. '96 misses. It's full. Tying run aboard to open the 8th.
See Goldie close that hole on the outside corner of the plate. That's a pitch he's had some trouble with this season, either swinging through it or putting it in play weakly. This time he drives it past Freddie Freeman right off the sweet spot of the bat. That ball just shot through the right side.
And that pitch is where he's been getting a lot of those strikeouts, at least one in 16 straight games, but on course here to break that streak. Here's Miguel Montero. It's behind Gaddis, and now the tying run is in scoring position.
Some kind of an off-speed pitch that got in the dirt near the inside corner of the plate. Gaddis, who'd done a really nice job for Santana blocking pitches in the dirt. That time just kind of reached across, tried to backhand, and it got by him.
And a big RBI spot for Montero.
Well, you see that green on the mask of Evan Gaddis. Certainly there's no green in the Atlanta Braves team colors. That's the extra padding they've added underneath the helmet to protect against concussions.
That's a fair ball. Chris Johnson looks Goldie back to the bag, one away. Miggy 0 for 4. Well, on Martin Prado bobblehead night, here's a chance for the man of the hour. He is 2 for 3. A pair of singles. He has scored the D-backs' only run. So far, they are 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position tonight. So it would seem apropos that Prado be the guy that at least ties the ball game right here. Base hit it, do it. Oh, 0-1. He has hit in every game this month, including tonight, 6 straight. 12 hits in his last 23 at bats. Lifts it in the air to right. Hayward has it near the line. Goldie stays put, 2 down. And again, the Diamondbacks throughout this ball game have been looking for that big 2-out hit, and now it's Peralta's turn.
Different approach to that at bat by Martin Prado. We know he normally likes to take until he gets a strike, but with a runner in scoring position, down by a run, very aggressive that time, looking for something to drive the opposite way, try to get Goldie on the plate. Unfortunately, Hayward able to make the play right close to the foul line.
Another multi-hit game for Peralta. He's 2 for 3, a pair of singles. And he's over .450 in his first week in the big leagues. And again, Simmons starts off with strike 1. So Peralta 10 for 22 to open his big league career. He's down 0-2.
Foul ball got a big piece of Mark Wegner back there. Oh, also the catcher. 2-cushion bank shot right there.
He did not go, says Mike Malinsky at third. David Peralta, our APS Energy All-Star. It's in 6 straight games to begin his career. That ties a D-backs record set by Alex Cabrera in 2000. One and two. Roll to second, easy play for Oakland. Once again, the Diamondbacks strand a run. We go to the ninth. It's still a 1-run ball game. Inning at Chase Field. Brad Ziegler back out there working to Evan Gattis. Gattis, Johnson, Ugla 5, 6, and 7 for the Braves, who lead it 2-1. First pitch is over the mound. Tough play for Chris Owings. And COD starts us off one away.
The 6th 1 pitch out in the game for D-backs pitching against this Braves offense.
And the first time tonight they have retired Evan Gattis, who has a single and a pair of doubles. Chris Johnson 0 for 3. First pitch swinging, roll right to Didi from the outfield grass. 2 pitches, 2 outs in the ninth. Hey fans, need a gift for Dad? Well, the MLB.com at Bat app is a subscription to his favorite features, favorite smartphone or tablet, perfect for Father's Day. Dad will have access to features such as live look-ins, instant replay, live audio, free MLB.TV game of the day, and more. So, oh man, it's just perfect. More details, visit MLB.com. Dan Uggla.
Now, Uggla's almost obliged to take at least a strike in this at bat. 2 pitches, 2 outs to start the inning. That third hitter, you have to take until you get a strike.
He is 0 for 3, struck out in the 4th. Trying to get his bat going. It's mostly been a lot of that, 1 and 2. Well, there he is, Craig Kimbrell, the best in the business. A 4-out save last night to become the Braves' all-time saves leader, breaking a tie with John Smoltz. 1-2. Two up for the D-backs, bottom third of the order. Keep in mind they have already used Eric Chavez as a pinch hitter. That one misses away, and it's full 3-2. Very high chopper. Chris Owens is underneath, and he throws it out. Bottom 9 in a 1-run game at Chase Field. Look at our lows. Never stop improving. Player of the game, Chase Anderson, gets the ball tomorrow. He can't do better than 4-0 in 4 starts.
Hopefully he'll get the same kind of run support he's gotten through his first 4 starts this season. Really good stuff out there on the mound. Has pitched to the conditions, and when you've given him a big lead, occasionally he's given up some hits and some runs, but a perfect 4-0 so far this season.
Series finale tomorrow. Diamondbacks live pregame show comes your way starting at 12:30. Runs hard to come by against Craig Kimbrell. There's Chase Anderson getting ready for tomorrow. The Braves closer is on. Last night his 16th save, a 4-out save, came on with the 2 down in the 8th. That was career save number 155. That surpassed John Smoltz's mark. He is now the Braves all-time leader. 155 saves in 172 opportunities. Not bad. Chris Owings leads off the ninth in a 2-1 ball game. First pitch is lifted in the air to Hayward tonight. 1 pitch, 1 out for Kimbrel. Brings up Ender Inciarte. Pitcher spot is due up next. Aaron Hill is in the on-deck circle for the D-backs. Inciarte, 1 for 3, a single in the 5th. Two 2-0. Need a base runner. This is at 96, and Inciarte is ahead. 3 balls and 1 strike. Tying run is aboard with 1 out in the 9th. And here comes Aaron Hill.
Diamondbacks loaded their lineup with left-handed hitters against the starter, Orvin Santana. Eric Chavez used as a pinch hitter back in the 7th, so only right-handed bats available off the bench at this point. It'll be Aaron Hill to take the advantage.
And Aaron scuffling a bit right now. 0 for 4 last night, 250 on the year. Tying run at first with 1 out. There goes Inciarte. Throw from Gaddis is not in time. Ender Inciarte, his 2nd stolen base. And the tying run is at 2nd with 1 out in the 9th.
Kimbrel's like a lot of closers in the game nowadays. He doesn't really concern himself too much with the running game. Inciarte with a huge jump, slow delivery to the plate that time, stole it easily.
And the Diamondbacks' inability to get the base hit in this situation has been the story of the game so far. They are 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Oh and 2. Mark Wagner, the plate umpire, and the crew chief granting time.
best arm in the Atlanta outfield is Jason Hayward out there in right field. Both Uptons can be good at times, but can spray them around those throws back into the infield or to home plate.
You see BJ in center, shaded a little over toward right center field. He did not go. Andy Fletcher at first. It's 2-2.
Nope. Good job by Aaron Hill to hold that one back that time.
Justin Upton in left, BJ Upton in center. Jason Hayward, the best defensive outfielder in the game right now, is in right. And Ender Inciarte, the tying run at second. Here's the 2-2. Still alive.
Goes up the ladder with a fastball here. Aaron just able to get a piece of it to stay alive. A little bit of a defensive swing that time. You rarely see Aaron do that.
It's 2-2 and Aaron Hill is in there at second. They tie it up against Kimbrel.
That defensive emergency swing on the previous pitch paid off here. Kimbrel had to throw one more delivery to Aaron Hill, and this time he shoots it down into that right field corner. That'll easily score Inciarte from second base, and Aaron Hill advances into scoring position himself.
A look on Fox Sports Phantom Cam. 0 for 12 in the ball game with runners in scoring position. And Aaron Hill comes through big time to tie the ball game in the ninth. And now he is the winning run at second with a one out for Didi Gregorius.
Mentioned Kimbrel, like a lot of closers, pays very little attention to base runners, base stealers. That stolen base by Anderson Inciarte was huge.
Didi led off the ball game with a single. '97, 0-2. This guy does not miss save opportunities very often. Close, 1-2.
Like a pretty good pitch. Ooh. Yeah, there's a little bit on the outside part of the plate. Had to reach back across his body to make that catch. That might have fooled Mark Wegner back there behind the plate.
And with Didi crouched more, that looked to be a little bit up. Got him with 97, 2 down. It's up to Gerardo Parra. Parra so far tonight 0 for 3. Seven RBIs in his last 10 games, a chance to win the ball game right here. For Kimbrel, his third blown save this year, just the 18th of his career. Aaron Hill, the winning run at second, 2 outs. There's a strike, 0-1. It gets through Gaddis, and Hill is in at third. Winning run 90 feet away.
That's big for a couple of different reasons. At some point in this sequence, Kimbrel might want to go back to that breaking pitch. This one gets right through the wickets of Evan Gaddis. You've got to have confidence in your catcher to throw that short breaking ball to hope to get a swing and a miss.
Out of play. Owings led off the inning by flying out. Inciarte walked, stole second, came in on the Hill double, and now Hill is at third with 2 outs. Got him. But the Diamondbacks tie the ball game against the best closer in the business and sends us to extra innings. Aaron Hill. It's 2-2. Season long, Jack Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. Hit it. Craig Kimbrel, his third blown save this year, just the 18th of his career, has sent us to the 10th at Chase Field, trying to break the old tomahawk chop. Here is the Diamondback closer. This is Addison Reed on for the 10th.
A 4-out save for Kimbrel last night. 21 pitches to get through that bottom half of the ninth tonight. Take care of business here first, but you have to wonder if he would be available tomorrow.
Pitcher spot is due up next for the Braves, and Ryan Doman, the veteran switch hitter, is on deck. Simmons has had a good night. A single, a double, he scored a run. Just missed down and away. A ball and 2 strikes. Bounce to third. Martin Prado. And the Diamondbacks in the home half of the 10th will have the sharp end of things. Paul Goldschmidt, Miguel Montero, and Martin Prado here on his bobblehead night.
Pinch hitting for Craig Kimbrell.
And that tie things up into a nice bow.
Ryan Domit.
Pitcher spot is here, and Ryan Domit will pinch hit for the Braves. This guy is a veteran switch hitter. He's shown a knack this year for this role. He is only 197 on the year, but he is 7 for 26 as a pinch hitter. That includes a home run. He's got 4 RBIs as a pinch hitter off the bench for Freddie Gonzalez. Looks at ball 1.
Fair measure of success against Addison Reed in only 4 at-bats, 3 doubles.
We saw a fair amount of Addison Reed in the American League Central. Domit in Atlanta following 2 seasons with the Minnesota Twins. Addison, of course, came over from the White Sox. And prior to his 2 years with the Twins, Domit went through the lean years in Pittsburgh. 7 seasons with some tough Pirates teams. Right field, right at Pollard. 2 down. Brings up the leadoff man, Jason Hayward. Navarro, the right-hander, throwing for the Braves. Hayward a 10-game hitting streak, but he is hitless tonight. Does have an RBI on a fielder's choice back in the 3rd. That ball is launched to right field and gone.
Home run of the season for Jason Hayward. Got a fastball down on the inner 3rd of the plate, right in his happy zone.
Had the big home run in the 5th inning last night off Brandon McCarthy. That was down the left field line. He pulls one against Addison Reed here in the 10th tonight, and it's 3-2 Braves. B.J. Upton. It's been a narrative throughout this D-back season. Addison Reed and the home run ball.
His 8th home run surrendered in only 28 innings of work.
PJ so far 0 for 4. He struck out in the 6th. Right at David Peralta. More work to do for the D-backs. Goldie, Montero, and Prado 3, 4, and 5, down a run in the 10th. Got one against Craig Kimbrell to tie it, and now down one in the 10th. They'll try their hand at solving Anthony Vivaro, his 24th appearance. He's been good for the Braves, a 2.66 ERA, worked a career-high 62 games last year. He has been a key part of their bullpen.
This is not where Freddie Gonzalez would prefer to use Vivaro, but after Craig Kimbrell gave up that run in the bottom half of the 9th inning, it's the next in line.
Well, it's the heart of the order here after Jason Hayward's 7th home run of the year has given Atlanta a 3-2 lead. Goldschmidt, Montero, Prado, 3, 4, and 5. Goldie so far 1 for 3 with a walk. He singled his last time up. One and one. Down the right field line, but slicing foul. 1 and 2. The National League's hits leader. Miguel Montero on deck. Martin Prado on Martin Prado bobblehead night. In the hole. Two and two.
Should point this out ahead of time, partner.
You got
6 Diamondbacks have homered on their bobblehead day. Chris Young, Mark Reynolds, Justin Upton, Connor Jackson Jr., Spivey, and Steve Finley.
Get a base runner, it'll be a walk-off. It's full, 3 and 2. Since that day off in Denver, Goldie has looked better on those pitches down and away, laying off them more than he was before. See if that's where they go here. Came inside and got him. There's the strikeout, 1 down.
Vivaro, unlike a lot of relief pitchers, has a 3-pitch arsenal: fastball, curveball, changeup. This was the changeup to get the swinging strike on Paul Goldschmidt. Not the location he was looking for, but a good result.
Goldie has now had at least 1 strikeout in 17 straight games. 1 down. Here's Miguel Montero. Miggy 0 for 4. Last 3 Diamondback hitters, all the top of the order, have punched out. That's foul right by Dave McKay at first. Rally hat. Hit in the air to left field, Upton at the track, at the wall, and it is gone, a home run!
Montero hit a home run to the opposite field at Coors on that last road trip. From the way he styled on this one, he knew he got enough. A lot of backspin on that baseball as it came off the barrel of his bat, up and back to the wall, hoping to make a leaping catch, but it is way too far up into the stands.
His 8th of the year, and now here is the bobblehead himself, already 2 for 4. Miguel Montero. Mentioned that he came into the ball game with 7 home runs. Got his 7th on June 5th. Last year didn't get his 7th until July 13th. So the power production for Miggy this year by the calendar is a month ahead of schedule, and now you can accelerate that timeline. Prado quickly down 0-2. Not a bad ball game, eh? Came inside but missed. 1-2. B.J. Upton, the center fielder, shaded over toward right center. A lot of room out there, and left center for Prado. Takes it up the middle, base hit, winning runs aboard.
You love to see that. Prado was really upset with himself on the pitch before. He was taken inside off the plate for a ball, but he just wasn't happy with his approach. Gave himself a little pep talk. Got back in the box and then scalds one up the middle of the field, right off the end of the bat.
He's got 13 hits in his last 25 at-bats. Martin Prado. Pitching change here at Chase Field in the 10th. The D-backs have the winning run aboard with 1 out. Don't go anywhere. Arizona. 3-3, bottom 10. The left-hander, Luis Avalon, is on for Atlanta to face the left-hand hitting David Peralta. And he's already thrown a bunch tonight, hasn't he?
Well, he's been warmed up a couple of times, ready to come into the ball game. Finally does make an appearance here in extra innings. Avalon fastball, curveball, changeup combination. However, he throws his fastball over 85% of the time.
And this guy can run into a fastball. David Peralta, another 2-hit night, his first week in the big leagues. Called up from Double-A Mobile last Sunday. And he has been a hit machine ever since he got here. Bounce to second. Dan Ugla. 2 down, a winning run at second. And with the right hand hitting, Chris Owings coming up. Freddie Gonzalez goes to the mound. We're matching up. Back after this. By Cox Communications and Fry's Food Store, set to take you to a D-backs game. Stop by this month's participating Cox Solution Store in Mesa, and you can enter to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus. They will take you to and from the D-backs game June 22nd. All the info you need is at foxsportsarizona.com. So here we go.
Now batting, shortstop.
3-3, 2 out, bottom 10, winning run at second. And it's the right-hander David Carpenter on to face Chris Owings. Now you see Carpenter's 3.75 ERA. He has really had issues lately. Last 10 games, that ERA is almost 8. And a chance for Chris Owings to be the hero. Martin Prado on his bobblehead night. The winning run at second and 2 down. Here's the strike, 0-1.
That's the Carpenter slider. Fastball slider combination. You mentioned over his last 10 games he struggled. The opposition hitting .405 against Carpenter in those last 10 games.
D-backs tonight 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. Lifts it to center field. B.J. Upton has room. We're going to keep playing. Thanks to Miguel Montero, with 1 out in the 10th, his 8th of the year, ties it again. Link's Beef Jerky all season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Fade your wild side. Fade it. New pitcher for the D-backs. Their 5th pitcher of the ball game is the right-hander Randall Delgado, the former Brave. This is part of a double switch by Kirk Gibson. Pitcher spot is now 6th as Cody Ross takes over in left for David Peralta. Freddie Freeman leads off the 11th. A single his last time up. He's 1 for 4. And again, he swings at the first pitch. Look on Freddie Freeman used to be pitchers would try and get him out on pitches down and in, kind of like that, but he's adjusted to that very well. He's more often than not lately hitting those pitches. This is a guy that has always had great plate coverage, big long arms. So this year pitchers have adjusted a bit, trying to work him down and away, but he can get down there, cover that corner down by the right-hand batter's box. And that's where they're going here. Plays off. It's full, 3-2. Justin Upton on deck. Freddie Freeman scuffling lately, hitting about 200 his last 16 games. He has homered only 3 times since May the 1st. Down and away again. Ball 4. Tried to stay away the entire at bat pretty much. And as you can see, just missed the spot.
I started to tell the story about Randall Delgado in Colorado earlier this year when Mike Harkey and Mel Stottlemyre Jr. took him out to the outfield fence and had him stand with his back against the outfield wall and simulate a delivery to home plate. If you watch Delgado, he really spins off to that first base side. Sometimes that's the problem with his command. Up facing first base after nearly every delivery. They were trying to get him to be a little more squared up, finish your pitch, be in a good fielding position. You'll get just as much on the pitch. He tries to generate a little extra velocity by spinning off to that first base side.
These guys were traded for each other. .95 misses. It's a ball and a strike to Justin Upton. Here's a look.
It's not unusual for a pitcher to fall off to his glove side, but occasionally Delgado will start falling that direction as he's releasing the pitch, and obviously it makes it very tough to keep the ball in the strike zone when you're spinning away like that.
One and two. Any other tricks to correct that?
Well, you get some line drives and one hoppers hit back through the box that go into center field for base hits, and you tell yourself, wait a minute, I'm standing right here on the mound. Why couldn't I field that ball? Well, because you're falling way over to the first base side. Yeah, you give up enough base hits up the middle of the field, you start getting yourself in better fielding position.
2-2.
I mean, I'd seen that particular drill before with guys who had a tendency to fall off or, have him go the other direction if it's a left-handed pitcher. But yeah, you stand with your back to the wall, you simulate your delivery, and there's no way you can spin off to your glove side if you're standing with your back against the wall.
Reaches down and fouls that one off. Freddie Freeman at first. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Justin Upton. Justin Upton, sometimes the power surges come in waves. Sometimes it's high tide, sometimes it's low tide. Remember last year he hit 12 home runs in his first 23 games. 12 April homers, a Braves record. Then it took him 111 games to hit 12 more home runs. And the power has not quite been there as of late. He's hitting well. 300 over the last 2 weeks, but 1 home run in his last 57 at bats as he steps in here.
Eighth pitch of the at bat coming up from Randall Delgado. I always felt the advantage shifted to the hitter the more pitches you can see.
Well, especially a guy like Randall, who primarily is fastball change. I don't get a whole lot of different looks. Another 2-2. Got him to chase. Second strikeout tonight for Upton, who is striking out more than ever this year, 30% of the time.
Once again, leading him right out of the strike zone. You mentioned Delgado, basically fastball changeup, but that time went to the slider, started it on that outer third of the plate, had some tremendous movement down and away to get the swinging strike.
And this is a big out right here. Evan Gattis has smashed 3 baseballs tonight, a single, a pair of doubles. He's got an RBI. Every one hard hit. 0-1. This is a guy that does not rely on Turner Field for home runs. He's got 12 on the year, 6 and 6 home and away. Delgado jumps ahead 0-2. A little discussion with Mark Wagner. Nice block by Miguel Montero behind the plate to keep Freeman at first.
Nice pitch, nice block. That's exactly where you want to throw that slider, ahead in the count, 0-2. See if you can get Gattis to chase something in the dirt. He'll be right there to smother it.
See the Diamondbacks outfielders all with their backs right on the warning track with Freeman at first. Look at how deep Gerardo Parra is in right field, almost in the stands. And a lot of room out there in center for Ender Inciarte to cover. As hard as this guy hits the ball, can't get back far enough. Way out in front, struck him out, 2 down. Randall Delgado pulled the string on that one.
Really nice breaking ball. Took a lot off of it. That's the old 12-6 curveball. A lot of downward break. Something Gaddis was just not expecting in that count.
Well, Delgado got his first out in the inning against Justin Upton, one of the guys involved in that big trade. And here's another, the former D-back, Chris Johnson. He is 0 for 4 tonight. Dan Uggla is the next scheduled hitter, but he's had another tough night at the plate. So Tommy La Stella, their other second baseman, the rookie, is out on deck. Here's a strike, 1-1. Delgado trying to strand that leadoff walk. This is not a guy who will walk. Anything around the zone, he's swinging. And striking out 25% of the time this year. He will chase. Like that. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Delgado after the walk to Freeman. And here come the D-backs in the bottom of the 11th. Inciarte, Ross, and Didi. For the trademark Prado dirt bath to celebrate a walk-off, and boy, this would be the perfect time for it. Ender Inciarte leads off the bottom of the 11th. He's been on base 3 times tonight. He reached on an error in the 2nd, singled in the 5th, walked, stole a base, and scored a run in the 9th. Inciarte, Ross, and Gregorius 8-9-1 here against David Carpenter, the Braves right-hander. Inciarte, 9 hits over his last 10 games. Bunts it up the first base line. Uggla charges. And Inciarte's aboard. Here comes Freddie Gonzalez, and we may have a challenge. Andy Fletcher, the first base umpire.
Good idea by Inciarte. Take advantage of that speed. Try to put that ball in that Bermuda Triangle over there between the pitcher, the second baseman, and the first baseman.
He's out.
Yeah, he is. Unfortunately, that's a heck of a play.
Now remember, the definition of a catch, when does Freeman have possession as defined by the new replay rules, is when the ball is in the back of the mitt. Not in the glove per se, but in the back of the mitt, in the pocket area. And that's what they will try and determine right here as the Braves challenge. And they are showing the replay on the DBTV board right now. Will this be Ender's game? Well, I figured since it's kind of a lull.
The Braves fans in attendance here at Chase Field tonight reacted the way you would expect them to when they saw the replay on the big board. They think the Braves have an out at first base.
Now, you can't use that angle at all because you can't tell when the ball was in the back of the mitt. So that is not clear and convincing evidence. We'll look for another angle that might have it.
I like this positive thinking by Dave McKay. You see him over there with Ender Inciarte looking at the notes that Dave McKay has on the various pitchers on the Braves staff and their moves to first and their deliveries to home plate.
When is the ball in the back of the mitt? He is out. The Braves win the challenge. Call on the field is overturned. But you have to like the bunt attempt there by Ender to lead off the inning.
It took a great play to get him, and even then on a challenge.
You've been calling for that from not only Ender Inciarte, but a lot of the D-back speedsters.
Take advantage. If you've got good speed out of that batter's box, you sense a weakness in the defense, well, take a shot at it from time to time.
Nice play by Dan Uggla, who was about to get pinch hit for in the top half of this inning, but stayed in the game when Johnson struck out to win the top of the 11th. Here's Cody Ross. Cody's first AB tonight. 185 on the year. He is 3 for his last 25 and trying to find it. And as things often go when you're 3 for 25, it's quickly 0-2.
98-mile-an-hour fastball right on the corner.
Big gap in left center field for Ross. A lot of room out there. But as hard as Carpenter throws, and with the way that Cody has been swinging the bat, especially with 2 strikes now, you don't figure that he'll hold the ball. Certainly the Braves aren't counting on that. .97 misses. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Base hit. Winning runs aboard with 1 out.
Second baseman.
Here is Didi Gregorius. His first major league start at second base. And he's been on base 3 times. Cody Ross coming off that horrific hip injury last year. A winning run at first, and base running is how he injured himself, and that's always in the back of his mind. In fact, it was right there on that spot last year. Two 2-0 to Didi.
Seems like a long time ago now, partner, but do you remember our key to the game today?
Give him the old 1-2.
The old 1-2. Didi Gregorius in the leadoff spot here tonight. Wouldn't it be something? And if not, Gerardo Parra will pick him up.
Didi Gregorius, the first D-back ever to hit a leadoff homer in consecutive starts. And his second home run in as many starts in the leadoff spot last night. He's ahead 3-1. Carpenter a consistent 97, but having issues with the command. Well, you're going to need that bat. It's 3-2. Mark Wegner might have missed one here. Yeah, that's off the plate a bit. It's full 3-2. There goes Cody. Foul back. Didi Gregorius down 0-2 in the count. Has worked it back full. Winning run at first, one away. There goes Ross again. It's fouled off again. Trying to stay out of the double play.
Yeah, I think so. And Carpenter's a little slow to the plate. He's throwing a lot of fastballs here. Didi just needs to gear it up a little bit, be a little quicker, getting the barrel into that hitting zone. I don't think Carpenter could take a chance on going to one of his secondary pitches here in a 3-2 count. They're ready to hit that fastball if it's in the zone.
He has good pull power. Didi 5 for 12 since his recall from AAA Reno. Another 3-2. There goes Ross again. Ball 4. Winning run in scoring position with a 1 out. That was a tremendous at bat by Didi.
Really good grinding at bat against a guy throwing almost 100 miles per hour. Laid off the borderline pitch. Should have walked earlier in the at bat. Got the 3-1 call, went the Braves' way, but Didi hung in there and eventually did draw the base on balls.
Baxter looking for a Christmas present. A walk-off win. And here is Gerardo Parra 0 for 5. Diamondbacks tonight 0 for 4, pardon me. Diamondbacks 1 for 16. With runners in scoring position, they have stranded 10. The winning run is at second with a 1 out. There's the strike, 0-1. Wegner consistent here. Remember that strike call on the 3-1 pitch to Gregorius. Just about the same spot.
Yeah, that was a slider that time, however. Started over in the right-handed batter's box. Never did get to the corner. Gerardo Parra, 7 RBIs in his last 10 games. The next one right here, that would be a big one.
Strike two.
The one pitch that was in the strike zone was called a ball. The two that were out of the strike zone were both called strikes. How you liking this?
Mark Wegner, the crew chief, behind the plate. Gerardo Parra worked on batting stance changes in Florida in the offseason, trying to be more consistent. And it has paid off. Much more of a line drive hitter than he was last year. He is driving the ball more often than ever. And his rate of harmless fly ball outs, the lowest of his career. Trying to get a hold of one here with a winning run at second and one out. Career walk-off hit, and the team that goes 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position wins in a walk-off.
You take him any way you can get him. A jam shot that time off the bat of Gerardo Parra. Had a tough AB, some borderline pitches called against him. Ultimately gets that little jam shot into center field. It had to be perfectly placed to score Cody Ross from second base. And he dunked it in front of B.J. Upton out there in center field.
1-9 here at Chase Field. The Braves took the lead on a Hayward homer in the 10th. Diamondbacks in the home half tied it on a Montero homer, and they win it in the bottom of the 11th on a little bleeder by Gerardo Parra. Off the fist, it dies in shallow center, and Cody Ross comes around third with the winning run. The D-backs' third walk-off win this season, and they beat the Braves. Let's go downstairs. Cindy Brunson is down there trying to collect some of the Diamondbacks. She's down there with Miguel Montero. Cindy.
All right, thanks so much. With Miguel Montero, you hit one of the longest home runs I think I've seen you crush here at Chase Field. Take me through that bat.
Well, already when I came up to hit, I was already mad because I left too many guys on base. And so, you know, I try to calm down and say, well, this is a good at-bat for you. Nobody on. We're down by one. Just get a good pitch to hit and don't miss it. What did you think when you saw G step in with an opportunity to walk off for the second time in his career? Well, when I first saw him when he took the first two pitches, I knew he was locked in. I mean, obviously, he's been swinging the bat good, and you know, I always got a good feeling when he come up to hit. This is the 10th home run, rather 10th home win at Chase Field. How does it feel to make these fans happy? It always feels great to win at home, and for these fans right here that keep supporting us. And you know, we've been playing hard every day, and hopefully we come back. And we had a long stretch.
Wade Miley didn't get the win, but he did put you in position to win. What did you think of his performance today?
No, he really threw the ball good today, and he kept us in the ball game. And, I think it was his best outing so far this year.
Miguel Montero, thanks. Enjoy the win. Good luck in the rubber game tomorrow. That'll do it from field level. Back to you.
Cindy, thank you very much. Our coverage continues here on Fox Sports Arizona late into the night. We'll come back in a matter of moments with Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink, as you watch Miguel Montero make his way into the Diamondbacks clubhouse. I'm Todd Walsh, along with our special guest analyst, Shane Doan. Shane, this is a little different now in the post-game scenario. Pre-game, you can throw anything up on the wall. It's all just prognostication. But post-game shows are a little different. You got to break a little some stuff down. You okay with that?
I'm looking forward to it.
There were some fans wondering via Twitter if you were going to last tonight, what your contract with us was over, if it was going to be over midnight or not, but you were going to stay no matter what, right?
No matter what. Once you're in it to the end.
All right, we'll take a break. A short one, though. When we come back, it is Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink. We'll get player reaction. Bob Brenly will join us as well. Stick around. More to come here from Chase Field. Diamondbacks in a walk-off over the Atlanta Braves.